Hey, welcome everybody to Pro Mindset Podcast. This is your host, Craig Domann. Hey, today I have a diamond in the rough as our guest, the gentleman by the name of Draft Diamonds, Damond Talbot, Big D. Damon, welcome to Pro Mindset.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Damon jumped on and I was eating dinner tonight, so my brain's still trying to catch up to him. Damon, how many years you've been doing what you've been doing as far as running your website, Draft Diamonds, looking for diamonds in the rough, so to speak, helping young men get exposure that might otherwise not get it? You know, you interface with you put yourself in a position over more than a decade to where you're like a hub of information for lots of different people. So why don't you share for our audience, like what Draft Diamonds is about and what they can find when they visit your website?
Yeah, so Draft Diamonds basically we created in 2013, but when I created it, it was really just to try to showcase small school football players, give them a platform. At the time, ESPN was blowing up the Florida Gators and the Miami Hurricanes, but they weren't talking about the Bethune-Cookmans and the FAMUs and the other schools. So I started it off. I took internships leading up to 2013 to where I worked with Eric Gelko at Optimum Scouting and where I worked with Paul Jackowicz at Pro Football Zone just to kind of learn the ins and outs of the industry before I jumped in. Then I started off with prospect scouting and finding diamonds, like you said. I started off in black colleges, HBCUs, finding about 10 or 12 guys, and I had my own little piece called Diamonds in the Rough, and out of them 12 guys that I found that year in 2013, all 12 of them ended up making it. And then after that, my name that kind of took off a little bit. Um, Built a pretty decent social media following, and it blew up and turned from a hobby into a full-time gig. It's been a blessing. I love helping people. You said a hub of information. I feel like I'm the middleman for everybody in the industry. I feel like I help agents, I can help players, I help teams, from everywhere. Any way I do it, I'm not, I do it to try to really help people and try to help them grow as in whatever area that they're in, and that's what I enjoy.
Okay, so the 2026 NFL draft's coming up at the end of April. Who's your pick right now for a young man who may or may not get drafted high, but is going to be a 53-man roster guy and be a contributor in the 2026 season that most people haven't heard of?
Ooh, that's tough.
I know, putting you on the spot.
Yeah, right off the rip. I'm gonna go with a linebacker at the University of South Florida. His name's Mac Harris. He's a 6 foot, probably about 6'1" linebacker. He's a thick linebacker. He plays more of a Sam than a Mike. He's pretty athletic. He was a running back in high school. He's a local kid here in Central Florida. I've watched him a lot through his college career. I think this kid's going to be a sleeper. I think he'll end up being like a Sean Dolak type player that ends up making a 53-man roster. He'll do whatever's asked. He'll play special teams. Being a fifth linebacker, you kind of have to play special teams. So I think that he'll fill in there and fill the void well. He's just one of those guys that's always around the football and didn't get any. He had a couple All-Star game invites, but had an injury from the last game of the season. So he's kind of going against the curve, against the ball there. I really still think he's too damn talented to not get an opportunity and make a 53-man roster.
Okay, so is he going to the combine?
He is not.
Okay, so
No.
what extra from your perspective, what is the thing that a guy that doesn't go to the combine, this young man, for whatever reason, injury, didn't get a chance to play in any primetime All-Star games? How does a guy like that young man really like make it? Because it's powder puff football during OTAs. It's walkthroughs. It's in 14 installs. It's not, there's no, they want to protect these guys during the offseason. So how does a guy like that light it up when he's starting at the bottom of the depth chart?
It comes with attitude. I think anytime you walk into a building, you have to have that winning mentality that I'm not going to be outworked. I don't care if it's a practice. I don't care if it's installs. I don't care what it is. Outwork everybody there. And I think that First in, last out mentality. You got to be the first one in, willing to put in the extra work. Got to show that you're in the film room. This is not time to be playing around. You're already an underdog. If you're not getting an all-star game invite, you're not getting an opportunity, you got to outwork everybody. It's asking the right questions. It's putting in the extra time. It's showing the veterans that you care. I think that a lot of times guys get into these camps and they don't talk to the veterans, or they're afraid to talk to the veterans. And I'd be in those guys' ears, because them veterans, when it's time to pick that final linebacker or that final player, they're going to have a say. The coaches are going to go to them. Who do you guys think? What do you guys think? And all it takes is one team. All it takes is one coach, one person to fall in love with you, and you're on a roster. And I think that a lot of times people overlook a lot of things. If you look at the Rams roster last year, they drafted a linebacker in the 6th round who is right now on the Seattle Seahawks practice squad, but he ended up getting drafted in the 6th round, and an undrafted free agent beat him out. What made them draft that kid in the 6th round, where he got beat out by an undrafted kid that outworked him every day? Well, it's showing up and putting in the time. And at the end of the day, the kid got a Super Bowl ring being on the bench, but still, I think it's some kids have that mindset that you got to come in and overdo and overwork, and I think that's what you would have to do in that case.
I actually had a client one year who was drafted. He was a tight end for the Bucks, and he got didn't make the 53, made the practice squad because they kept a undrafted young man. So it happens. From my perspective, what I heard you say is something along the lines of, when you are not coming in with the red carpet treatment, you're not the first, second, third pick. You got to act like you belong. And you go from college where you know everybody and everybody knew you. You knew where everything was. You knew where the bathroom was. And you go show up in the NFL headquarters and you don't know where anything's at, and you know no one. And you can either take the game, play the game of, I'm just going to put my head down, work hard, or hey, you're going to act like you belong. So when the vets are having a barbecue and they don't invite you, you're like, hey, bro, I'm available. Where are we going? And you show up at the barbecue and you act like you're one of the guys. And, if they're playing pickleball, I don't care what they're doing. You're doing the same thing because you want to be one of the brotherhood, because you're absolutely right. People don't think about this. NFL teams would never admit that they get input from their primetime players, but they don't want a dude at the bottom of the roster that their superstar doesn't like. The superstar is a receiver, and they're trying to pick that 5th, 6th receiver. You dang well bet they're going to ask the star, hey, between these two guys, who do you like? And half of that like is going to be off the field stuff. Because if it was black, right? So if it was black or white, the front office, the coaches aren't going to ask him because they know. But when it's tight, they want somebody that's going to fit in the room, upset the apple cart, so to speak, and not piss off the vet because he's a pain in the butt. They want a guy that fits in, right?
It happens all the time. I think it comes down, to be honest with you, the people that have the most pull are probably special teams coaches when it gets down to that roster. But if you're a special teams guy, if you can contribute on that aspect too, you can make a roster. And I think so many people fail to remember that special teams is so important. I mean, you think about it. I mean, right now, I bet you on the average, there's 8 to 10 football players on a roster that are just special teams guys.
Hey, I had a son that did that. I know what that looks like. Sean Payton wouldn't have won a Super Bowl if he didn't have some courage to call a big time special teams play, an onside kick.
Mhm.
And he had to depend on his specialists to get that done, because he couldn't put in his primetime guys for that play, or they would have seen it coming. So, okay, you're into connecting with, assisting prospects to get exposure. What is the attribute that you see that separates the guys that go farther, go higher, than the ones that maybe have more talent and don't?
I think it's the extra work. I mean, it's gonna sound crazy, but I tell guys all the time, it's the little things you do. It's the little things that you do that separate yourself. You're competing with, like, I'll go all the way back. When I was in high school coming out, I had to make VHS tapes and send it out to teams. And every single kid was sending their envelopes out in a manila envelope. It was like the yellow looking envelope that everyone did it. I went and got a paper route. And in that paper route, I would hustle up to try to get $30, $40. And I would go to Walgreens or CVS or Rite Aid or whatever I could. I would buy hot pink envelopes. I would send my tape in a hot pink envelope, and I would get called so quick by recruiters because they would look at a whole bunch of VHS tapes sitting in there, and then all of a sudden there was a hot pink one. Everyone else had manila envelope. There, I guarantee you that pink envelope sticking out, and they're going to grab it. And that was the mindset that I had as a recruiting player, as a player coming out. I'll give you an example. I had a kid that was at the Hula Bowl. It was a little undersized, a defensive tackle. His name was Jawan Briggs. He played in our game, and he came up to me. He was a father. I mean, he was a husband, a father, young kid, hungry. He was like, "What can I do to separate myself? What can I do differently from this game that I can do to just, if it comes down to me and another guy in the seventh round, that they'll pick me?" And I said, "It's your pro day. I want you to go around and I want you to shake everybody's hand, every scout that attended. I want you to shake their hand. I want you to thank them for showing up. I want you to go to your head coach afterwards. I want you to get the head coaches, the list of all the guys. I want you to go to Dollar Tree, buy a pack of cards of 25, 30 greeting cards, and I want you to send them individually to each team and thank the scouts that showed up." And he looked at me and he said, "I can do that. That's easy enough." I said, "The addresses are all online. You can send it right to the facility. These guys never get an email. They'll be pumped to see a letter." I said, "It's the little things. Just do something different." And I'll never forget the Cleveland Browns. They texted me in the seventh round and they said, "Jawan told us that you told him about the greeting card. And I just want to let you know we're drafting him." And they drafted him in the seventh round. And now he's on the Jets, and he balled out on the Jets this year. He got traded. But this was an undersized D tackle that was a father and I mean, just an amazing kid, and he took that extra step. Like, that extra step is, who else is doing that? What I mean? Who else is shaking the hands of somebody, or who else is going out of their way to say thank you to a scout? And people don't understand, these scouts are on the road all day. It's not, they don't get thanked. They get questioned. How come you missed that guy? How come you did this? They don't even know what it's like when they get a greeting card in the mail. So it's the little things. It separates you. And I think that's what separates greatness, is the little things.
That's awesome that you did that, and it's awesome that he actually followed up and it worked. And make no mistake about it, if he wasn't talented, they wouldn't have drafted him just because of the card, right? So
Absolutely.
what it did was, in the seventh round, half a dozen guys were possible picks, all different positions. Like, hey, what do you want to? Who do we want to take a shot at? And somebody stood up for him and said, "Hey, let's take a shot on this kid," because he did take the extra step. you know? And so that's what it did for him. What I heard from the jump was something that I truly believe, which is that the fastest dog doesn't eat the bone. The meanest dog doesn't eat the bone. The smartest dog doesn't eat the bone. The most clever dog doesn't get to eat the bone. Every one of those guys get to taste the bone. They get to hold it in their mouth, but they don't get to eat it. Because the fastest dog gets the bone. And while it's in his mouth, one of those other ones come, let's say it's the clever one. He makes a trade for food to be, given to him later, and he gets the bone. But then the smart one outsmarts him. And it's like everybody gets the bone, but the hungry dog eats the bone.
That's it. Every time. Agreed 100%.
Okay. I forgot you did the All-Star game stuff too. You'd do everything. It's crazy.
I've tried.
I'm going to ask you some NFL questions because if anybody from the NFL listens to this podcast, I want you to just be frank and honest and helpful and give them some fresh perspective. There's teams like the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets, and there's a couple others, but those are two that come to mind. Their identity as an organization is not good now. It doesn't matter. Meaning that, the Cleveland goes all in on Deshaun Watson. Didn't work out. They pick Shadur, and it didn't matter if they it didn't matter when they picked him. It created a little bit of antagonism in the locker room, media attention. But the reality of it is they can't win. Those two organizations right now are struggling to win. And we're in a business that's all about winning. From your vantage point, I'm not suggesting you pick them apart. I'm suggesting you add something. What would you do if you were the GM of either one of those organizations to make the fastest turnaround?
Well, first off, I'll be honest. I don't think the Cleveland Browns are far away. I think they'll be there very soon. I think this could be the year right here that they do it. They've added a lot of key pieces. If you look at the draft, I think the draft is the number one way to turn it around. They did exactly what you're supposed to do in the draft. And I believe the Jets have been doing what they're supposed to do in the draft. It just hasn't worked out for them. And they're two, the Jets, for example, are two. They listen to they listen to the media too much. That you need to stick to the script. And Darren Moogie is a guy that's going to stick to the script. It's going to change. I promise you. The guy's talented. I think when you're dealing with both organizations, I think you just need to take the best player available. Don't overthink it. Like I don't care if you have three running backs. Go get the fourth. If the best player on your board falls to you and it's a running back, you take him because then he becomes trade bait, and then that opens up something else. If a running back gets hurt, now you've got four of them that you can trade one away and get something even higher. Maybe you get a higher pick than what you had. I feel like teams, they get into the war room and they get into the mindset of the draft and they go, oh, well, man, we really need a cornerback. So let's overdraft. We're going to take a cornerback that we have 58th on the board at 23 because he's the best rated corner and we don't know if we're going to be able to find another one. Hell with that. If the best rated player on your board's a punter, take the punter. I don't honestly, you just got to stick to your board. And I feel like a lot of teams, they get scared and they turn away from really what they need to do. If you want to win and you want to win right now, you have to draft right. You got to hit three or four of those kids in the draft out of the 7 rounds that you have. You have to hit on them. And the Browns did that. Look at last year's draft. I mean, they ended up with Mason Graham in the first. They ended up with Shador later on in the draft. Dylan Gabriel is a great backup if you need one. They ended up with Quinshon Judkins, who was a stud. They got Isaiah Bond, who should have been our second-round pick as a UDFA 2 months after. They ended up with they took the best player. Oh, and I didn't even mention their defensive player of the year, their rookie of the year, since Weshinger. I mean, they are stacked. They did a great job. It's not science. You take the best player available when the round comes. And I don't care how you look at it. Shador Sanders is the best player available. And if he ends up winning out the job, so be it. You let him ride. But I feel like that's the way you have to do it. When you look at the Jets draft, back when they were coming up, they had Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall in the same draft. I mean, that's 3 home run picks. I mean, those are 3 starters. And then you were able to trade Sauce Gardner away for multiple first round picks. So I feel like the Jets are on the uprise. I feel like they've got to hit, though. You just got to hit right now. You cannot miss. The draft is the best way. Stop overpaying for people in free agency. That's going to suck for some agents. Agents are like, no. Look at the wide receivers, for example, in free agency right now. You have Alec Pierce. You have Romeo Dobbs. You have players like that. They're going to get Deebo Samuel, who will probably end up becoming a free agent. These guys are going to make $28 to $30 million a year. They're not worth $28 to $30 million a year. You can't overspend, and now you handcuff yourself. Go draft a player and take a chance. Take 2 players at that position if you really need it, and then take 2 in UDFAs and let them all compete. I feel like you can build a roster that way, and that's exactly what those 2 teams need to do right now. Just keep saying it's nobody who wins a job. I mean, the Myles Garrett for sure has a job. He's the starter. But I'm saying outside of the main stars, everybody else's job's up for grabs, and it's a dogfight. You just let people fight for it. You'll get the best players to win the battle.
Okay, I like that. In my mind, I feel like teams draft more for need than the best player available because, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but it's like if you're close to being a Super Bowl contender or you are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, need is more important for that team. especially if they're like locked out of getting a player in a trade or in free agency at that position. But when you're at the you're at the bottom of the rung in your division and you're struggling to, win more than half your games, best player available for all the reasons you said is money. And you should be stocking picks. You should be doing, at the trade deadline, dumping somebody, picking up a pick, constantly maneuvering, basically getting more future draft capital to be able to do what okay, then that brings you to what about all those teams? And there's about 20 of them that don't have a franchise quarterback. What do? Because you got to lose to be at the top of the draft and you're winning, let's say you're going 8-9 and no, typically a viable option doesn't show up in free agency, although once in a blue moon, but not very often. How do you do it? I mean, do you tank for a year? What do you do? Because it goes without saying, everybody that makes it to the Super Bowl has a dude at that position, even if the world doesn't think he's the dude. So Sam Darnold was the dude, but maybe some people didn't think he was.
Absolutely. Look, you know what? That's a perfect example. Sometimes a stopgap quarterback can be a Super Bowl champion. Sam Darnold, it was Geno Smith last year. Who would have thought the same team had a Super Bowl champion? You know what I mean? They could pick one up in free agency that, to be honest with you, look at the Vikings. They drafted a quarterback high based on what? Was it need or was it best player available? I don't believe it might have been a best player available situation. But in their case, they must have had enough details that they believed that he was. And maybe that's why their GM was fired recently. I don't know, but I am saying at the end of the day, I feel like a guy like a Sam Darnold, like right now, look at Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, he's a guy, to be honest with you, if Arizona could get out of the contract, they probably would dump him. I would take a guy like Kyler Murray. I would. I would take him on my football team, and maybe they go and they trade. Maybe they'll end up tanking for a quarterback. I don't know. But like he's a guy that I would take on my football team. I really would. Like I would take him as a stopgap quarterback for a year. But I will say this, if I truly believe in the quarterback, I don't care what I gotta do to trade up to get it. I'm getting it. If it's a guy, I'm the worst quarterback evaluator in the entire world. So I would not listen to anything that I say when it comes to drafting a quarterback. But I wanted Josh Rosen over Josh Allen. So, and I'm a Bills fan. So personally, yeah, I no, I don't listen to me when it comes to quarterbacks. But I would say if you truly believe that the people that you hired to evaluate talent have Fernando Mendoza as the top player, then you mortgage damn near whatever you got to go get him. You have to. Because, like you said, a franchise quarterback, they're hard to come by. But have you noticed how many teams have a franchise quarterback right now? Are they really that hard to come by? Or teams just giving up too early? Because Baker Mayfield was quit on. He looked pretty damn good. Sam Darnold was quit on. He looked pretty damn good. I mean, people give up on these guys too quick. Kirk Cousins was given up on in Washington, and then he ended up turning into a good quarterback. And then, look, Sam Darnold was given up on for JJ McCarthy, and then he turned into it's. I feel like the developmental stage. It's now win win win, and if you don't win, they get rid of you. And you've seen it. Look how quick teams are, so quick to just get rid of anybody if they feel like that's the problem. But you get a new GM in, he wants his guy. He wants his quarterback. Brian Dable, when he was in New York, I wanted my quarterback. He got another year because he said he wanted his quarterback, and he didn't. Daniel Jones wasn't his guy. Then Daniel Jones goes on and ends up looking like a superstar. So
Amazing.
it's like, is it the system? I guess you got to trust your scouts. That's what you hire them for. Why the hell are you paying them to go on the road and be away from their families every day if you're not going to trust in what they write? If
Okay.
you had Kyler Murray as a first round pick and a top 10 pick, and he's available via trade right now, has he changed from what you initially evaluated him? Or is he still the same guy that can throw the ball deep, can make the plays with his leg? What is it that's changed besides his age?
I have an
That's
opinion.
where I would ask.
I think with Kyler, I don't know him. Don't know him. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. What I will say is that he seems like the type of personality that is a front running quarterback, meaning that when he has a good offense, he's got protection, he's got good receivers to throw the ball to, which in Arizona had good receivers, but didn't have good protection. He was a he was a shadow of what he used to be. And, that's what's going to happen to Mendoza in Las Vegas if they don't protect him, because and then they're going to give up on him, and then he'll end up somewhere else, no expectations, and some starter's going to get hurt, they'll throw him in, and his career's going to take off again. And I'm not saying Mendoza can't be great from the jump. I'm just saying it's crazy hard for these teams that are drafted number 1, number 2, number 3 in the draft for obvious reasons. They didn't win a lot of games, usually change their coach, usually change their GM, and they don't have the pieces around them. And so, like even Cam Ward, great story. Talent, he's a talent. He gets down to Tennessee and struggles. The offense wasn't there. So it's almost like you've got to pick a side of the ball. And when you have a young quarterback, the side of the ball you better pick is your offense. So you can light up the scoreboard. Even if you lose the game, you light up the scoreboard. And if you lose, 35-32, who cares? Because then the next year you go focus on that defense. But when GMs try to balance it, or they go more defense because they think, hey, let's have a stud defense like Cleveland does, and maybe we don't have to score as much, the quarterback doesn't develop because he gets shell-shocked. Thoughts on that?
I agree. I mean, I can tell you this right now. If Cam Ward doesn't turn into a Pro Bowl type quarterback under Brian Dable, we have a problem. I guarantee you. This is a guarantee. Cam Ward will throw for 4,000 yards next year. And I don't care who his wide receivers are. They will find a way. I think Cam Ward has the mentality. He's never been given anything, and I love that about him. When he came out of Incarnate Word, I did his highlight film, and I remember his dad reaching out saying, "Do you think somebody will take a swing at him?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, man. We'll text everybody we can and let them know." And I remember getting texts from Washington State, and it was pretty crazy how it all went down. But for him to go to Washington State, and then from Washington State to Miami, and look at him, I mean, turned into a number 1 pick. This was a zero. Like, no one recruited this kid. Like, nobody wanted him. And he came in his first year in Incarnate Word and won Jerry Rice Award, right? I mean, that's the best freshman high school or college football player. I mean, that says something. You know what I'm saying? So pretty awesome. Pretty awesome story. I think he'll shine. I think they also, if you look at their wide receivers, they kind of got rid of everybody. Tennessee did. They had DK and they had Ayu Manor. They were 2 rookies with them to grow with them. And they didn't really. Kelvin Ridley didn't do anything for his development, but maybe he's a guy that you get rid of in the offseason and you try to build a couple more players. Brian Dable, remember Brian Dable coached Kelvin Ridley at Alabama. That might be somebody that gets turned up, and then if he gets turned on, maybe you end up throwing from. I think it's going to be a great year for Cam Ward in Tennessee. Hang tight.
Where did Cam Scadaboo start?
We started off Sacramento State, right? Sacramento State, yeah, and then he transferred. Then he transferred over, and that was a tough son of a b. He was a tough SOB. He played special teams. He played special teams as a white fullback monster. He was like scat back for real. He wasn't a scat back, but he was just a ground and pound. But there's a highlight of him if you go back and watch his. He had a kickoff return. Or no, he had a onside kick return. It was insane when he was in college at Sac State. So, yep, started off there and then transferred to Arizona State, and what a hell of a career he's had. And he looked like the real deal last year.
He did. The Giants had a good draft. They've had some
Yep.
good drafts the last few years. They picked up some talented kids. Okay, NIL. Let's talk about NIL. So you've got like Cam Ward, or almost like before NIL for him, but it's like these guys, the freedom of movement, not the money, the freedom of movement, the opportunity to like step up a level and show everybody what you got. And then you might be playing in the SEC or somewhere like that. And people are now thinking, hey, it's not a big jump to go to the league now. Where if you're Sac State, Incarnate Word, you got that issue every time. Small school, level of competition, all that kind of stuff. Is like if you have a son and he is, junior, senior in high school, and he's getting recruited by people, I almost feel like today you should chill out because you want to go somewhere where you fit. You want to go somewhere where you enjoy, you want to play, and you've connected to the coach. But you're probably only going to be there a year, maybe 2, because you're going to bounce. What do you think that does for the sport? What do you think that does for the schools and recruiting? And what do you think it does for the families and the player and how they approach recruiting?
Man, I have mixed feelings on the NIL. I mean, I think it's great. I think the players should get paid for what they deserve. The colleges make tons of money off them. I get that, but I feel like there needs to be a cap. I feel like the money's ridiculous in some cases, and you're taking a kid, let's just say from Central Florida or South Florida, and he goes to Liberty to start off his career, and then from Liberty, he has a great year, 1,000 yards receiving or rushing or whatever you want to do, and then at school like Penn State or Iowa State or Texas A&M or one of them offers $600,000. That family's never seen money like that. You know what I mean? So of course that money becomes more of a grab, and they go to that school based off of the money, but maybe not the best fit. And I feel like there should be levels to it. Freshmen can only make a certain amount. Juniors, sophomores, like level it out to where when you're a senior, hey, look, man, go make as much money as you want. You're preparing for the league, whatever. But I don't know if that's fair. You know what I mean? Like because these other schools can't compete. Schools can't compete with the NIL cooperatives that they have. Some of them have stupid money. But like when you're at a small school, I will say this too, though, in my personal opinion, if you have 1 year left of college, I would not transfer. I think it's the stupidest thing in the world. If you look at the statistics, transferring up a level from, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but if you go from transferring up and you go from, let's say, an FCS school, Princeton, Ivy League, whatever you want to do, you transfer up to a D1 school. The chances of you getting drafted in that 1 year that you go are so damn slim. I bet you it's less than 15%. Why would you transfer then? You're giving up. Think about this for a second. If I'm the number 1 rated small school offensive lineman and I play at Dartmouth and I transfer up to go to Texas A&M to give me $400,000 and I leave to go take that 400 grand, I'm basically giving up the grade that they have on me. Because as this is the way it works. You got Blesto and NFS. They come out with their grades in the spring. That Dartmouth kid might have a 3rd round grade right now. Now you're removing him from the Northeast where he's at, and you're going to put him in the as we'll just say the mid South, whatever you want to call it. Now he goes down there. Does anybody from the NFS or Blesto know him? No. His grade might transfer over, but it's not going to transfer over because now that he leveled up, he's going to be a 4.4 or normal grade. He's a guy we need to evaluate. Now you're going to evaluate him only based off of Texas A&M. So now you went from a 3rd round grade, which is a hell of a lot more than $400,000, to what? To a potential. Maybe you'll increase, but maybe you'll decrease. The chances of you increasing sucks. I'm telling you, it sucks. If you look at it, it's not a good number.
Coach, you're absolutely right. And something goes sideways during spring ball and you're competing starting spot and you show up for August fall camp and you twist your ankle and you're out for
it's over.
You're done.
It's over. And now you 4.4 grade.
Yeah. And they're going to start some sophomore that has a chance they can pay and keep them around instead of putting in a transfer last year guy. So you're toast. So you do bring up a very valid point. If you are going to transfer I know this sounds nuts, but geographically, you should stay in the same zone.
Absolutely.
So the scouts know you and they follow you and they can go to bat for you. Where if you go East Coast to West Coast or vice versa, anywhere in between where there's no familiarity, you got nobody. And scouts have so many players to evaluate. Their lists when they go into these big schools is a mile long. They can't go back and do the due diligence on what happened at Dartmouth.
Yep. I agree with you. And the kids don't understand this. It's too deep to try to explain to them because they're chasing 400 grand. But you're losing a lot of money. I had a conversation with a kid in the Ivy League this year, and he called me and he said, I want to get in the portal. And I talked to him and his family, and I said, listen to me. You are a third round pick. Stay the hell where you are. And I promise you, you'll get drafted in the third round. The mystery of being a small schooler is sometimes better than them knowing everything about you at a big school. The mystery. You don't know what he can do, and then he has 1 week to go show it at an all-star game. They're not holding you to that 1 week. Stay where the hell you are.
So the draft is as much about potential and projection as it is production. And when you transfer, you take away the potential and the projection. When you stay at the small school, they can still project you, and they can project you higher than really maybe you even deserve. And you take that off the table when they go and they see you in reality and you're not as big or fast or strong or whatever it might be as the dude you're with or competing against. But and we got to play the odds. So what I mean by that is, generally speaking, I agree with you. I do, 100%. But then you got Trinidad, who goes from Ferris State to Mississippi to be a backup. And he ends up taking him to the semis. It was the right move for him.
Yeah, but let me ask you something. What happened in that case? How often does that happen?
It's not common.
How many small schoolers transferred up and didn't even get on the field? They had a draftable grade. Now watch this. How many small schoolers get invited to the combine?
You tell me. I didn't look at the list.
Less than 20. If you're a top 20 small schooler
You're going
right now in your junior year,
Yeah.
stay where the hell you are. You're a guaranteed NFL combine guy. You're a guaranteed Senior Bowl East West Shrine gang because they're going to fight over having a small schooler at their game. I promise you this. Trust me. I do this. This is what I do. Stay where the hell you are. You'll make money. Don't worry about the money long term. You'll make all your money. Just stay where you're at. Be happy. Get your damn degree because it's hard to get. Get it. Stay where you're at. Enjoy it. Be Michael Jordan of whatever the hell school you're at. And
Okay.
ride.
There's probably very few people on the planet that are more of an expert on small school football than you are. So what is the demographic of the player that it is the right decision to go up that happens to be a small school kid?
I would say offensive line makes sense because if you dominate at that next level, something that you see quickly. And offensive linemen are always needed. So like if you're an old lineman and you're at Harvard or you're at Princeton, you can transfer up and you can get a shot pretty easy, especially if you meet the intangibles and stuff. Quarterbacks and all that stuff, I would stay put. You're going to see a kid that just transferred. He's a freshman, Taron Dickens. He just transferred to UNC. He'll end up being a Trinidad Chambliss type. He's that good. He should have never been at Western Carolina in the first place, but he also has 3 years to build into what he needs to do because he was a freshman. So that's something that you can build him into being a great quarterback. I would listen, wide receivers are decent but you got to get the ball. You got to go to a school where you're going to get the ball. If you're moving up and you're number 5 on state, that it doesn't help. You know what I mean? Like you're better off being number 1 at Mercer than being number 5 at Ohio State, in my opinion. You need productivity, like you said, and you need to be able to perform. And I just think the offensive linemen, defensive linemen are probably the 2 best positions if you're going to do it to take a chance at it.
So I'm going to add something because I heard you say it. Guys in the trenches, not a bad idea. And guys have long runways. You don't just have 1 year left, you got 2 or 3 years left. Gives you a
Yes.
chance to right or wrong, or if you don't get off on the right foot with your coach, you got a chance to reconcile and repair it. If you have a small injury, you got a chance. If you are a receiver and for whatever reason, the guy that they're putting you in front of is the quarterback's roommate and best friend, and he sure as hell ain't throwing you the ball because he wants his roommate to get the ball, but he needs you to get off the field before his roommate can get on the field. Eventually, you're going to be on the bench because the quarterback ain't throwing you the ball even when you're open. So if you have a longer runway, a lot of times you have a chance to fix those things.
That's a fact. That's why I say the 1 year's too short. You got to give yourself at least a couple. But the thing is, too, in the transfer portal, what happens? If you're going, the best way to do it is go for something that every school has business. Go for something that's like a simple major. But if you're like I just ran into this situation with a guy, he's on information technology or something like that, like IT. There was only like 40 schools that offered bachelors in that program, and it wasn't many. And that kid, he's sitting at home right now. So
Losing
very
credit,
hard to transfer.
yeah,
Yeah,
losing credits and like not getting the credit for the class you actually took because the next school doesn't accept it.
exactly. And that kills you. And it kills your pockets too, whether it's free or not. I mean, if you're gonna end up transferring, you're hoping that school picks you up. So make sure you have a major that's easy to transfer. That's what I would look into that. If you're not really into school and you really think about playing the NFL, go for business. Everybody takes a business person.
No doubt. No doubt. What is the biggest mistake that you see college players making today in connection with NIL? Because there's so many guys, like if you're a backup somewhere and you were a 4 or 5 star and somebody else will actually pay you to come, that's kind of a no-brainer because you got somebody maybe two people in front of you that are better than you at the school you're at. Let's say you're at Bama or somewhere. But where are the guys at big schools that don't start out small schools making mistakes with NIL?
Well, I think a lot of guys are getting into the portal with no film. Like, I mean, you have nothing to show for it. I mean, you're jumping into a portal where all you have is practice cut-ups. And while that's great, maybe the schools that recruited you heavily when you were coming out will look at that, but it's not as easy as I think a lot of guys they have somebody. I think the biggest problem is this, Craig. At the end of the day, a lot of people are influenced by people that don't know anything. They have a church member that's a friend of the family that once knew an agent, and he thinks that you should do this and you'll make this and you'll make a lot of money because this school pays money. Stop listening to people. Get advice from people that will give it to you, that are good people, there's tons of them out there that if you ask the right questions, they'll tell you the truth. You might not want to hear it, but like I feel a lot of people get bad information, number one. Number two, there's no rules in NIL. So you can have Johnny from church trying to tell you he's your NIL agent. And I know everybody. I got all these coaches' phone numbers and they don't know anybody. And they're over here trying to work a side deal out. Stop listening to people. Go to your coach, sit down with them and say, what do I look like? If I leave here, would you help me? Most of these coaches, they do want the best for you. They're going to try to help you, guide you in the right direction. If they say, hey, look, you know what? You'd be better off going in the portal. And I've got some coaches that will call and try to help. And maybe you try it that way. But try to keep an open door to say, if it doesn't work out, am I able to come back? I don't want to lose my opportunity here. A lot of these guys just go in a portal without talking to anybody, and then they're screwed, and then nobody wants them back because you burned a bridge. Like there's no communication. That's what I think. That's a big factor in it too. And that's just me. I think if I tell you straight up, hey Craig, look, I really want coach, I want a better opportunity. Am I gonna find that here? And you tell me no, maybe it's time for me to move on, but will you help me? And if I can't find a home, am I welcome back? Like what is their deadline date that I have to get back by? And if I don't sniff around, I can't find that, can I come back? I think that's fair. And I think a lot of coaches would probably be open to that, especially if they like you.
I think one of the things for big school players that's valuable for them to move is when one of their coaches goes somewhere. And so, like Florida, they took a bunch of G-Tech schools or coaches, and the backup quarterback takes off. And, everybody in G-Tech rightfully is upset, but, the kid is going somewhere where he knows he's going to be the guy. He knows the scheme. He's going to be a coach in the field, and he's got the coach in his corner. When you jump and you don't have the coach in your corner, everything's got to go right. Because if you're not in that coach's corner, guess what? There's somebody in your position
It
group
is.
that is, and it's not you. So good luck, right? Okay, so how do
That's
you
so true.
right? So how do you describe what Signetti's done in 2 years at Indiana?
It does not shock me
Why not?
because he was the same way at JMU. He is just he's an excellent football coach. He keeps everything in-house. He has his set positions, sizes, weight. He has if you go and you look at his players since he's been coaching, every position that he has out on his football field fit a mold of somebody that was in the past previous position. He's gonna have a D tackle that's 6'1", 300 pounds, it's athletic as hell. Go look at the background. That's what he's done. And they've all ended up making it. They fit in his schemes. And he's a scheme coach and he knows what the hell he's doing. Bill Belichick-esque. He has the scheme down. He knows exactly what he's looking for. He knows how it will work, and he knows how he'll win, beating you with it. And until somebody can stop his schemes, he's going to keep punching people in the mouth. And he did it at JMU, and he's going to do it in Indiana. I love him. He's the greatest dude in the world. Best, most humble dude. One of my favorite coaches, man. I mean, I worked with him real heavy when Percy Age Obisi was coming out, a running back at JMU. And man, he was the nicest dude, man. Would open up whatever you needed to try to help you out and try to help the kids. And I think the kids love him. And they'll fight for him. And I think that if you have a coach that knows everything about you and is willing to do whatever to help you, man, you're gonna run through a wall for that dude, and you know it, or believes in you. Like, just think about that. I mean, the safety, for example, Lewis Moore, he left, went to Ole Miss, and then came back and came to Indiana, and he came back with the intentions of going to do it with Sig, and he did it. I mean, how cool is that? A lot of his kids are transfers, and they're not. If you go to and through the transfer portal, trust me, nobody's picking. I don't care. I love Matt. Matt's the head dude of the director of player personnel. He's not picking them players. Kurt Signetti's picking them players. If you fit the mold, you'll get a call. And that's it.
So what do you think about their new quarterback coming in? How does he fit the mold?
That's going to be a good fit. I mean, obviously, if Signetti likes him, you got to like him. Who liked Mendoza? Did you know Fernando Mendoza before? I mean, obviously, we knew a little bit about him, but did you know anything about him when he was in Cal? Hell no. So that
That's it. So we've had most likely if Mendoza is number one pick, which I think that's going to happen, 2 quarterbacks in 25 and 26 that hit the portal and were 1-year players and turned that 1 year into being the number one pick. In your perspective, is it the SIG effect on Mendoza? Because I mean, Mendoza, he took everything Miami brought him in the first half and they were hitting him in the chin and he was tough as nails and he won my respect in the first half in that national championship game because he doesn't give me the vibe like he's a tough SOB. He's a
he
tough.
definitely doesn't.
No, he doesn't
He
have.
is tough.
He
He
showed.
is tough though.
He showed
Yeah,
it.
when he got hit going into the end zone, man, that was a play, bro. Like, damn, he got lit up and he stayed with it. So I give him a lot of respect. I think when quarterbacks, you got to have it between the ears, and obviously he's wired differently than we're understanding. He's wired, and people hated Tim Tebow, but he was wired too, and he won. I mean, he won playoff games. So I mean, it's the will to win, and I think that yeah, I mean they're both transfer quarterbacks. I don't know if that was a SIG effect, but damn it, he made Fernando Mendoza a household name.
Yeah,
It worked.
that
It
worked.
worked.
That worked. So if you're like Ohio State and Michigan and you got all the money and you're looking at the Big Ten and you're used to going and getting the 4 and 5 stars and you're still getting them, you're putting together an amazing roster. And then you got this school in Bloomington, Indiana, that's bringing in all these FCS kids and Cal Berkeley. I don't even know what conference they were in the year before because who knows, whatever conference it was, the Pac-2 or whatever. But
Yeah.
how do you, like, if you're Ryan Day, it's like, how do you look at Indiana? I mean, this is not normal.
Yeah, I mean, you just say son of a gun. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you better stack up that D, man. You better start putting. I mean, even Miami's D was struggling with Indiana. So, and I thought Miami had one of the better defensive. Like, I mean, both of their defensive ends are probably top 50 picks. So, I mean, it's golly, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to slow it down right now. I mean, and then they go out and create, or they go out in NIL, and they have like three running backs again. They went out and they ended up getting some studs. It's like, man, dude, Diggs at it again. He's trying to go 40-0 on these people. He don't care. He's just gonna keep winning. And he's just gonna keep drinking his beer. I don't know, man. Beating the hell out of everybody.
I
Taking
would,
names.
if I was him, I'd be so dialed in during the playoffs
Yep.
on trying to win it. How, and I know he's got support people. How in the heck did they scout and have all these guys lined up like the day after the championship game? It's like, this is like a major corporation with a big time operation that they're doing stuff a lot of other schools aren't doing because, I mean, the schools that were eliminated or didn't go to the playoffs, they've had all this time to do their evaluations. Indiana, I mean, they had to keep the main thing, or they wouldn't have did what they did. And yet they still killed it in NIL.
Yep. I mean, that's just hard work. Outworking your opponents, right? I mean, it's just like putting in them long hours, getting up and doing what you got to do. I think that's what it comes down to. Listen, man. I love Signetti, dude. That dude's not going to be outworked. He'll end up being. We'll be talking about that guy for a long time, and just now people know about him. I knew about him years ago, and everybody says he comes from Saban's tree. No, Saban came from Signetti's tree. Go look at it. His daddy was the one that brought Saban in. So a lot of people don't know that Signetti's dad was the one that hired Saban and brought him in. And now Saban's tree comes underneath the Signetti tree, really, technically, if you look at it. The pops, Signetti.
Wow. Okay. So there's a dad out there that is kind of curious about what you do, how you can help, and they call you up. He calls you up, and he's got a son that's could be coming out of high school, could be at a small school, dominating and thinking about transferring, or he's a guy that's at a big school and he could declare or come back for another year. What is like your foundation for how you give advice to people? Because you've seen a lot of kids, you work with a lot of schools, a lot of teams, a lot of agents. What is like your foundation that allows you to give people good advice?
Jesus. The only way. I mean, and person like myself, I don't deserve half of what I have. I mean, he's the greatest. I mean, I was in a wheelchair for 28 months, man, and to be back and doing what I'm doing right now, and to know that he's the greatest in the world, he's the only foundation. Anybody else, I don't know if you're struggling trying to figure something out. What do you got to lose? I mean, I've said it in prisons. I've said it everywhere that I ever went. I mean, I wouldn't have half of what I have, and my foundation is based on Jesus Christ. I mean, he's my firm foundation. I believe in him wholeheartedly. I believe that I've done this in this industry. I've never taken a dollar from any kid. I've never taken a dollar from any parent. I've never taken a dollar from people trying to take their money. Everything that I do is either a service to try to benefit somebody, help somebody, or just to offer them clean advice, just the best advice that I would give them. And I feel like God's provided for me and everything. He's taken a website of talking about small school FCS football players and given me 100,000 subscribers on Twitter. And I don't deserve it. I mean, but he knows my purpose and he knows my mission. It is 100% based on Jesus Christ. And if there's something that I can do, prayer, just a simple prayer or whatever it may be, that's how I've made my entire everything.
I sort of sung at church on this week about Jesus be the name. It is an awesome
That's
song.
it.
Hey, my man, I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset today. You're a wealth of information. You got tremendous perspective from a lot of different angles in the game for people that are hearing this podcast that maybe don't know about Draft Diamonds. Where else can they find you?
So
Your
we're
web.
on Twitter. Yeah, we're at Twitter at Draft Diamonds, on Instagram at NFL Draft Diamonds, on Twitter or on social media. I don't think we're on Facebook too if you're older and you have Facebook. And then the website's NFLDraftDiamonds.com. So I mean, right now we're getting in the prospect interviews. You know, if there's players out there, you have a child or son that wants an interview that's a senior, you know, we do data collection, which is something that we provide for college teams and pro teams. So we have a high school and a college database that guys can enter in their information, and we track them and follow them throughout their careers. That's how we help grade them and get them all listed. So that's kind of like what we do. And that's my prayer. That's my 9 o'clock prayer. So forgive me. But definitely just reach out. I'll be more than happy to help you out. I'm simple and I respond.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Hang on one second. Hey, it's Craig Domann, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a pro mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.